Welcome, love. This is Sex, Drugs, and Sound Bowls, and I'm Jessie Siren, here to stir the cauldron with raw psycho-spiritual talks on healing, plant medicine, sex, motherhood, and the sacred chaos that cracks us open and lights the way forward. Expect deep truth and raw feels that leave you inspired, held in your humanness, and ready to take your rightful place as the creator of your own experience. With a deep breath and an open heart, let's be all the way here, now. Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome back to Sex, Drugs, and Sound Bowls. I'm your host, Jessie Siren, reporting live, as always, mid-process, mid-chrysalis, mid-dissolution. And today we've got some fun things. I've got some fun things in my mind. We're going to talk a little bit about teeth. We're going to talk a little bit about lips. We're going to talk a little bit about how this little guy can be your best friend for a night out on the town. We're going to talk a little bit about just the alchemy of working through grief and through loss, profound, deep loss. And let's be all the way here now. Oh yeah, and it's laundry day, so don't mind me. I'll be matching socks as we go through all the things. So one, I think I'll start with the lips. I am not a facial yoga expert, but I did at one point have an algorithm that was full of just straight myofascial techniques and facial yoga techniques. And I may have spent like years going down that rabbit hole before I realized like, oh my God, I have to stop thinking about my face and what it's doing because it's making me crazy. But this is one of my favorite hacks, okay? So as we age, this, they call it the orbicular oris, starts to get lax and hang long, lending itself to a more aged appearance in the mouth. And the other thing that can happen, and this is what has happened with me too, we'll talk a little bit about bowspring because I've just discovered bowspring and it's like opening up my world in such radically amazing ways. Dr. Winters, mwah, I cannot thank you enough. But the jury is still out on whether this is going to do permanent, reconstructive surgery on your face. But I do notice that it makes a difference in the plumpness and fullness and posture of my lips when I work with these things regularly. So the first thing I do is just remind my lip that I don't have to have the butthole lips anymore. Through years of trauma and holding patterns in my body, I think like tucking the pubic bone under, right? That like tucking your tail posture. My lips also, like working with the throat chakra, as I had so many blocks here, so many truths that were left unsaid. My lips carried this tension of all the things unsaid. My tongue carried the tension of all the things unsaid. And so slowly over the past few years, I've been releasing this tension emotionally, spiritually, physically, and then also physically, right? Mentally and physically. And so one of the first things we got to talk about is tongue posture. If you do not have correct tongue posture, then this changes the pressure system in your entire face. Your tongue pressing up against the soft palate of your roof of your mouth is what keeps the infrastructure. It's the infrastructure for all of the symmetry and beauty in your face. So I'll give you a little run at it in case your algorithm isn't blowing up with facial yoga like mine. And we're going to say nice first. Nice. And your tongue should touch the palate right behind your teeth, that kind of bumpy ridge. Nice, nice. And then you're going to say king, king. And you'll notice how the back of your tongue lifts up and touches the soft palate at the back of your mouth. And then if you say nice king, and you leave your tongue in that state, pulled up towards the roof of your mouth, then let your tongue rest behind your teeth and swallow strongly to create some suction. And then if this grosses you out, close your eyes. I'm going to show you what this looks like on the roof of my mouth. And when you're doing this proper mewing, there will be no tension in your neck or your face or strain, right? It's just the natural resting posture of the tongue. And I'll put it out there too, that to find this natural resting posture, it took me upwards of 3 years every day consciously moving my tongue back into that posture 100 times, right? Before I would find myself waking up in the night with my tongue in the right position. it is a repatterning, a relearning, and a lot of unlearning old poor habits, right? And when our tongue is not resting on the roof of our mouth, it also it's more difficult to breathe. You're probably more likely to be a mouth breather. It also collapses the palate, right? When we don't have that tongue, the strength of the tongue pressing up, so your teeth will be more crowded over time. There are so many miraculous things that just having proper tongue posture can do to support your health, vitality, and beauty. And so the next thing I'll talk about is when you, oh shoot. So now we've got tongue posture, and I'll tell you what I do to, and I want to show you in real time because I think it's visible. I have no makeup on, I have nothing on right now. So I'm just going to show you what these few exercises can do for my lips. So without. Now, the first thing I'll do is just hold my lip up. I'm retraining it out of the butt pucker and back into its fullness, and just breathing deeply, both feet on the ground. And softening through my chin. And this is real time, right? I'm not going to pause this or cut it. But after I do this for about a minute, so this is just like the shortened version, but I think you'll still notice a difference. I'll practice looking in the mirror and saying like "oh," lifting my upper lip, and "e," and lifting my upper lip rather than "e" or "oh," you know, like really trying to retrain the posture of my mouth when I'm speaking. "Oh, e, oh, e." And then maybe I'll spend a minute doing that. No, thank you. I'll take the cork. This is where this little guy comes in, okay? So step one is, and again, I'm gonna do this at about halftime. I'm not gonna make you stare at me for a minute. I know I said I wasn't gonna cut this, but I'm not gonna make you look at me for a minute while I hold this in my mouth. So I'm gonna put this in, and I'm gonna wrap my lips around it, turning my upper lip up as much as I can, and I'm gonna hold for 1 minute, and I'll come back in 1 minute. And then I'm going to relax any tension. Tap on them. And already there's some more circulation, there's some fullness coming in. Right? A little different. And then the last thing we'll do is we're gonna wrap the lips in and pull the cork in. And hold it again for a minute. Stretch them and relax them. What do you call this? I don't know what that action is, what that move is. And then the last thing is using the cork to stretch and release the jaw. So I place it right between my teeth, and I'll go forward and back a few times, using my hands to massage if I can, if I want to. And then I'm going to go laterally, left and right, and use my fingers under here, under the jawline, to massage out any tension there. And this was kind of rapid fire, but no makeup on, no lip plumper or chapstick or anything at all. And I think there's a fullness to them. And like training myself to smile with my lip turned out, has been, I don't think about it at all anymore, but before I can't even do it, but I think I would be like, feels weird now, but same lips. And it's just a small, subtle difference, but it makes me feel more confident. And it's so natural. And it's not harming your body in any way, shape, or form. And I don't do the cork workout unless I've got a reason to. Like, I'll do it to bring more circulation if I'm about to go on a date, or I've got a gig or somewhere fancy to go that I want to feel a little bit of extra zhuzh. Every day, I just try to turn my lip out and hold it and retrain it this way. Okay, and the other thing I want to talk about now, this brings me to the next part of this whole orbicular oris area. It's the teeth. I'm talking to a very dear person all week, really hyping her up because she found out that one of her kids has a bunch of cavities. And this human cooks holistically and organically and nurtures and nourishes her kids with stuff from the earth. She doesn't have the goldfish in the house and all that stuff, so it just didn't make sense to her, and she carried a lot of shame and guilt about it, and was being pushed into making a quick decision, and like into an emergent decision to take her daughter in to literally get general anesthesia and have all these teeth worked on. Now, my first experience with taking ownership over my teeth and speaking from a place of power to authority when it came to teeth happened about 9 years ago when Indy was about 6 months old. I was nursing and I went into the dentist, and as many women experience, after the hemorrhage of energy and minerals and fats and just everything the body needs to thrive of creating life, I had some cavities. I had 6 cavities. And the dentist, when I was in the chair, said, we need to fill all of these cavities. And I said, well, is there a way that I could remineralize them or heal them naturally? Is there a possibility? And he said, no, there's no possibility. But something in me just freaking didn't believe that. I just didn't believe it. Something in me was like, no. And so I just said, okay, sir, well, thank you very much. I'll call back for my appointment. I went home. I deep dove into all things teeth. Since then, I have spent hundreds of hours reading about all things teeth. And only to find that there were so many stories of people out there remineralizing teeth even when they had deep black cavities. And so I set out to do the same for myself, and I did so successfully. So 6 months later, I went back to that same office but saw a different dentist, and all 6 of my cavities were gone. And the dentist was just like, wow, what did you do? And it was a really empowering experience, and it also taught me not to make rash decisions just because somebody else is making the situation feel emergent. So when it comes to our kids with cavities, when it comes with us with cavities, if we are not in dire danger, if we are feeling well enough in our bodies, right, to function, to slow down, to take a breath, like, if your arm is severed, you don't really have the time to make, to do some research and tune into your heart space. And you might have time to take a deep breath, sigh it out, and surrender the process. Like, I need help, emergent help. But if you have cavities, I find that it is rarely the case that it is an emergency that you need to be put under, drilled on, and filled up right away. And so I just wanted to come on here because it's been one of the most wild experiences of my life to really analyze and look at dentistry as a whole. And in one of the books that I read, I remember him just saying, like, even if it's on a subconscious level, even if you've got the most ethical dentist, they make more money the more cavities that they fill. So if they've got a kid going off to college, if they've got a wedding coming up, what's to say that there isn't some kind of subconscious drive to want to fill something that could possibly be remineralized and healed on its own? If I step into that room with the white coat, with no education, with no information, and they share something with me with a sense of urgency, and then when that information runs through my energetic body, the only place that it resonates with is my fear-based sense of survival. And I'm more likely in that case to make a decision based on survival instincts, right? In that fight or flight mode that I might regret and have often regretted later. So educating myself, informing myself has enabled me to feel empowered in those situations, to even just take a breath and take a space and say, thank you for that information. I'm going to sit with it, and I'll make a call and make an appointment or come back next week. Another little dentist story is that these two front teeth used to be more square and a bit longer, quite a bit longer. I had front bunny teeth, and I went to the dentist to have just a teeth cleaning, and I noticed that there was a little like divot, a ridge. You couldn't even see it, but I could feel it with my tongue, like a sharp little edge, jagged edge. And I asked the dentist if she would smooth it out. And she reached into my mouth with her, drill going, and was just like, hey, I'm just going to reshape your teeth while I'm in here. They'll be much, more feminine, and I'll just go ahead and do this. And I'm back on the table with a thing in my mouth, trying not to move. And I'm like, oh shit, like this is happening. And came out with one long tooth and one short tooth. And when I got home and Matt was like, what the fuck happened to your teeth? I went immediately back to the dentist, and she was like, oh, don't worry, we'll fix it up and we'll straighten them out. So she shortened the other tooth to match it, and then proceeded to tell me, like, don't ask and don't show anybody this for the next few weeks. Let yourself adapt to it. You're pregnant. I was pregnant. You're probably really emotional right now. Believe me, you look more feminine and beautiful. It's amazing. And that, again, was another moment in my story, in my life, telling me, like, I have to have agency. I have to have agency in the room with somebody who is in a place of authority. And for me, agency comes from educating myself. So before someone puts a tool in my mouth, that boundaries are set in place, right? Like, these are the things that you're going to do, and you're not going to do any more without talking to me. Like, those are conversations I need to have. Educating myself before I go in for a basic teeth cleaning, or a cavity filled, whatever the thing is, or to a doctor's office. Educating myself has made me feel more sovereign, more intelligent, more confident, more agency when I'm in those situations. And with that confidence comes a feeling of spaciousness that allows me to then filter the information that's coming at me through my energetic body and have it land somewhere other than this urgent fight or flight, sympathetic nervous system arousal place inside of me. And that spaciousness allows me to take a step back and feel into if this next step is right for me or not. So I'm going to share a couple of my favorite books. One of them is called The Holistic Dentist, and I'll link these below. That was the first book I read. I liked that book a lot. You can get them at the library too. So if you don't have the Libby app, download Libby, because it allows you to check out books and read them. And if you love them, like I do, did I get this one on Libby first? If you love them and you think you're going to use it over and over, then you can purchase it. Yeah, that's what I would do. And the other one that I ended up buying and I refer to religiously is Cure Tooth Decay. And this one's by Ramiel Nagel. Maybe I'm butchering that, but again, I will link it down below. And I'm going to go through just a few of the chapters and what they cover. And it's just such a beautiful, comprehensive book that literally gives you the steps you need to take every day in order to start to remineralize your teeth. So the first chapter here is Dentistry's Inability to Cure Cavities. Chapter 2, Dentist Weston Price discovers the cure. And this guy talks about all around the world, the indigenous folks that have beautiful, healthy teeth. What are they eating? What are they doing? We deep dive into that so we can figure out how we can then replicate some of that in our own lives. Make your teeth strong with fat-soluble vitamins. Chapter 4, remineralize your teeth with wise food choices. Chapter 5, nutrition protocols that remineralize and repair cavities. Chapter 6, stop cavities with your next meal recipes and meal plans. Healthy gums lead to healthy teeth. Dentistry and its high price. On and on and on. And then chapter 10 says your teeth can heal naturally. Bonus chapter, remineralize and repair your child's tooth cavities naturally. Maybe I'll read that really quick on 193. It looks like it might be in this book. Yes, I love this. Okay. From Cure Tooth Decay. With our daughter facing severe tooth decay, my partner and I both experienced a substantial amount of fear. Watching our daughter's teeth decay before our eyes started a feeling of shock within us. I experienced a tangible terror and a sense of powerlessness because my child's body was clearly in less than ideal health. This sinking feeling of fear and helplessness would occur frequently, and it is one of the most painful feelings for any parent to experience. Almost every time our daughter pointed to her mouth when she was between 12 and 20 months old, Michelle and I thought, oh no, she has a toothache. What do we do? If you experience even half of that fear on behalf of your child's health, please know that it is utterly normal to feel this way. Our children are so precious to us, we do not want them to suffer. However, out of the depths of my despair, I have begun to experience my greatest faith and an unsurpassed trust and safety in life, in nature, and in the world. Many parents are concerned about long-term effects of their children's tooth decay if the tooth decay is not treated by a dentist with dental surgery. My daughter is now close to 7 years old. Her teeth are healthy and pain-free, and her adult teeth are strong, white, and cavity-free. I have heard of similar happy outcomes. Many times, children with decayed baby teeth will have healthy adult teeth. Here are 5 strategies that I use to help me find faith, safety, and peace in relation to my daughter's oral health. And then he lists 5 different strategies to help to drop you into that deep inner wisdom. And when we are moving from this space of centeredness, of deep connection, right? Rootedness, we are less likely to make rash, fear-based decisions that we may regret later on. Okay, here's the book. That's my little spiel. If you'd like, you can send me an email down below. I'll put you on the email list, and I'm going to send out my natural toothpaste recipe this month. And it's the one I've been using, some variation of it, for the past 9 years. And it's incredible. It's incredible. I'm back on that protocol, like full transparency. This past, like 3 or 4 months, in December, we moved out of the Silver Eagle bus and into this bus, and it was still mid-build. So we were living in a construction zone, which was a 40-foot bus with 3 boys in the dead of winter. And I just stopped self-care. And it's kind of like my way of manifesting low-key depression, that I just will stop washing my face, I'll stop brushing my teeth. And those are things that I did. And I remember, like, 6 months ago looking at my teeth being like, oh, they're gorgeous, they're so beautiful. I shine a light in there. The kids laugh at me because I'll wear like a headlamp, and I've got these like dental picking tools, and I'll poke around there and just look and make sure the gums look healthy and the teeth look healthy. And I did that to myself. 6 months ago, they were gorgeous. And then I did it to myself a week ago, and I was like, oh shit, I see stuff that I don't want to see, that I haven't seen in years and years and years. And so I'm actually like revisiting this book, and I'm re-diving into all of the protocols that I know will help to remineralize and bring more life to my teeth. And I'm already seeing a difference, and it's been 7 days. So there's that. And then what else? Okay, 2 things. We lost a very beloved human just a few weeks ago. And at the same time that we lost this beloved human, we also lost this beloved land that we were set to inherit for the past, almost a decade. And probably, even beyond that. John had been Matt's stand-in father for the past 20 years, had known him for the past 40 years, his whole entire life. And so all of this was just, I talked about this in the last podcast episode, was so earth-shattering. It just popped the bubble of this little magical life here on the river. We do life with John every day. He wasn't a neighbor or just like a good family friend or even just chosen family. He was somebody we saw every day. And it's brought so many things into perspective. I've allowed myself to grieve. I am so grateful. I'm so grateful for storied expression. Like right away in the weeks that followed, the story of, I felt a lot of grief. I felt a lot of rage. And the story of Jesus on the cross came through, and I remembered his words. I remembered him saying, "Why have you forsaken me?" And then I remembered also that on the other side of allowing himself to just feel utterly abandoned, to just feel, fall into the depths of his humanness, was a deep, unwavering compassion. Forgive them, they know not what they do. Makes me cry. And because of this story, I just kept repeating it in my head. I found it easier to allow myself to feel the feelings. And sure enough, through allowing myself to feel the depths of my grief, of my rage, of my abandonment, I also was able to clear and make space for compassion and for grace and for gratitude and for curiosity. And so, 3 weeks out from this devastating event, well, maybe it was like, I think it was 2 weeks out from it. The person who was set to now inherit this land had been here every day, like from the first day that John passed, the second day, third day, every day he'd been here. And so every time we looked at our window here, we saw him, and it was painful. It was like a reminder of not only, the pain of like, oh, this isn't John's place anymore, but now this land that I saw Matt on first when I was 14, that we married on in the garden, that we raised our kids on, that we loved John on, that we built our bus on, like that land was no longer a part of our story in the way that we thought it would be. And so I felt two different parts of myself battling. I felt this young part of me who just wanted to freeze and hide. In fact, one day he came and I was already outside. I was trying to avoid him, and I literally jumped into the fucking bushes. And it was so mind-blowing and embarrassing. I just kept my head down, and eventually, like, I think he saw me and made my way back into the house. And then, then I would hide out in the house here. That was like my inner child who used to just like freeze when something felt bad and wrong. That's the butthole lips and the tuck tail and the rigidness and the hiding. And then there was this other part of me, right? This like, late or early, I guess this is like my 20s, where I was just burning shit down, where I was just like, fuck everybody. Early 30s, late 20s, early 30s. And that version of Jessie also, was an extreme on the spectrum. And I do think there are times where there is wisdom in pulling yourself back, right? In hiding and preserving. And I do think there is wisdom sometimes in burning it down, right? From the ashes, new life comes. And, sometimes when you are the prey, hiding literally saves your fucking life. And it did save my life. But now I had this third version of myself here, witnessing these two internal mini me's and thinking like, oh my God, I have a choice. I don't have to hide like this old version of me, and I don't have to blow shit up like this older version of me. I can choose something in between. I can read this information. I can read these signals as useful information and not be just knee-jerk reacting, responding to them, right? And so that's what I did. I thought, well, this doesn't feel safe. I don't feel safe in my own home on my own property. And what are my options? And the only thing I could come back to was like sharing my story. I felt like that would bring some peace to me. I felt totally misunderstood. I felt betrayed. I felt a lot of things for myself, for my husband, for my family. And so I wrote a letter. And in the letter, I shared about our story. I shared how John wasn't just a neighbor. He was our family. I shared how special this land was to us. I shared that we were stewards of this land. And then I requested at the end a week to just grieve and not look out our window and see John's stuff being, towed away would be so incredible. I'm cutting this down as much as I can. And he replied back really gracefully saying like, thank you so much for this letter. I'm here to talk anytime. And then 2 days later showed up with 7 to 10 people. We look out our window, they're measuring property lines. We have this little chunk of John's old property, right? This little bus size lot. So they're measuring property and there's people everywhere. And I'm like, oh, I thought, I mean, in the letter, it had sounded like he was going to honor my request. So I went and found him. And I said, hey, I think there's some confusion. Maybe you didn't make it to the end of the letter. It sounded like you were saying you would honor this request for a little space and time. And he was so upset. He shouted at me, oh, I have things to do, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you're just trying to like, I felt this was like a little girl part of me that wanted to believe that if I showed my true emotions, like how this was hurting me, that this other person would stop. And he got pissed and he walked out and he said to everybody, they want us out of here. They don't want to see us. And I said, oh, no, it's not like that at all. We're just, we're living on this property too. And we're grieving. And I had just reached out and said, hey, would you mind honoring this week? I don't even know how much to share. So yeah. And he was like, okay, fine. After some fiery words, okay, I'll send everybody home. And then I get a text saying, like, I sent a couple people home. The rest of us are gonna stay here. So then I went over again and to chat and just say, like, I'm confused. It sounded like, again, you were saying, yes, we'll give you a little space. That's not happening. This seems like a rough way to start off, like being neighbors. But this other person stayed on this. So even though everybody else left, this person I've been communicating with and asking. And my inner child had been pleading with, like, see me, this is hard. This is really harming me. And I really hope that you can see my humanity and, like, honor this request when you've got the rest of your life to deal with this property. And I saw him still standing outside. So I made my way over, still shaking. This whole thing had been so rattling for me. It was so beyond my comfort level, but I was trying to channel, not this like a feared child, and not this burn it all fucking down rage queen, but this version of myself that was something more sovereign and using the wisdom of both of these aspects of self and channeling them through pure and clear communication. But there was still part of me that was pleading with him, like, see how this is harming me, and can you meet me in this dance? Could you honor me? And I could see through this last conversation that wasn't fucking gonna happen. I said, thank you so much again for honoring this. I'm gonna be back on Wednesday, again, 2 or 3 days after this conversation. And me just being like, you know what? I felt something in me let go and realize and remember the thing I talk about on here all the time. Boundaries are not something that somebody else enforces for you. Your boundaries are things that are enforceable only by you. And I realized, like, I can't control everybody. I can't make him respect me or honor me, or I can't make it happen. No matter how vulnerable I am, no matter how tender and sincere my heartfelt sharing is, like, it doesn't fucking matter. There are people that will still just fuck all, even when you share from that place, maybe even fuck all even more. And so I just, like, bowed out. I didn't say anything, and I bowed out gracefully, and I went back home to the bus, and I realized, like, oh, you know what? I don't have to be afraid, because I can take care of myself. I can choose to not be here when he's here. I can take myself out of the equation and honor that my spirit still needs time to grieve and to rest. And so that's what I did and what I've been doing. And it just feels like this radical reminder that I don't need, because this is all my this is my property, right? Like, I look out my window and there this guy is. I don't need the world to be a safe place. I don't need my family to be a safe place. I don't need my neighbor to be a safe place. I am the fucking safe place. I am the safe place. Say it with me. I am the safe place. Say it again. I am the safe place. It makes me cry. In the sweetest way, because God, I think that inner child is just waiting and waiting her whole life for someone to come and rescue her. And I don't think it's nuanced, right? I think it's still valuable to share from that tender place, right? To ask people to meet us in our humanity, but to rely on the illusion, the childish naivety that everybody will feel into that heart space and meet you there. I just can't live from that place anymore, and I won't, and I don't. And I respect and honor and don't regret the years that I did, because I honestly think they saved my life. But honey, we're safe now because we are the safe place. I'm safe now because I am the safe place. And there's so many crazy things that are coming out of this, right? Like, I am actually really curious and excited. Like, universe, what do you have in store for me? Like, I thought maybe I was going to grow old and die here. And now I don't think that. Like, I don't know what's next. I don't know. I just feel like everything is open-ended, and it excites me. And to have this inheritance pulled out of the equation too. I feel a sense of actual relief. And I wonder what the universe is going to teach me in this lifetime. I wonder what form of abundance I'm moving into. And maybe it isn't equity-based. Maybe it isn't financial. Maybe it's the prosperity and abundance of deep connection to land, of space and time, of heartfelt, deeply heartfelt service. And maybe that also ties into maybe that the reciprocity of that is financial abundance. But I just feel very liberated, very curious, very held, very nourished. I feel the value of having all of my inner wounded parts flare up and being able to meet them and thank them for the wisdom of the information they're bringing to me, and be able to make a sovereign choice on how to communicate, because God, communication is everything. I mean, I look around me at the problems people have, and I would bet like 10 out of 10 times it's fucking communication. How you're saying things matters. When you're saying things matters. How well versed you and self-aware you are in your own wants, needs, desires, like that matters. How the other person is as well. Like, there's just, communication is everything. And then finally, the bowspring. I want to talk a bit about the bowspring. The same way, butthole lips, right? This is like tension. This is like holding your thoughts in tense lips. Maybe you're angry, holding anger in, holding angry words. There's tension here, right? Soften that. In the same way, I'm going to try to show you, maybe I don't even know how I'm going to do this. I have been teaching yoga where you tuck your pelvis under, pubic bone to sternum. And what happens in this scenario is that now my entire abdomen has shortened. So all my visceral organs, my diaphragm are crammed in here. And there is like nowhere for the diaphragm to expand into. So this limits lung capacity. My breath is kind of like trapped. My pelvis feels kind of trapped and rigid. And this posture, right, is useful for creating maybe like a very stable, like a mountain pose, Tadasana in yoga. But in everyday life, that rigidity is going to lend itself to burning out the joints too. Like, also look at my hip joint moves forward. My whole body is out of alignment. My hip is up here, my shoulder is back here, and the natural curvature of my spine is disrupted so that my head is pushed forward. Now, if I take, in bowspring, we take the hip bones, we subtly bend the knees and activate through the feet. We send the hip bones back and we lift through the glutes. So now I got a real butt, right? Not a flat butt. I got a real butt here. I let the belly be soft. I let it hang out a little bit and I fill my ribs. And then in bowspring, just like a Chinese finger trap, the toning of the belly doesn't come from contracting, but it comes from lengthening. And like a Chinese finger trap, the belly starts to pull in and gain more tone, right? And I think this actually like looks nicer. Like, I'll show you. So like, this is my bowspring body. This is my rigid, linear body. Okay. I'm not a bowspring expert, but I have been practicing every day for about probably 5 months now. It has changed my life. The way I feel in my body, and posture alignment. So when I'm in my bowspring, my hip, my shoulder, my ear all aligned. I feel more buoyant. I feel more spacious. I feel less tension and pain and pressure in my joints, i.e. the knees and the hips, the shoulders. My neck feels freer. My breath is fuller because I have space in this beautiful belly of mine. The natural curvature of the spine, right? I've got the lumbar curve, the thoracic rounding a bit, and the cervical C curve. Everything working as it should. Wow, right? It's amazing. It's amazing. And again, just like the tongue posture, it's so wild to me that we have to relearn these natural patterns that the body has kind of been adapted out of. But I'm not here to tell you what's right, but I'm here to tell you what's working for me. And after 2 decades of teaching yoga and talking about tucking the pelvic bone under, the pubic bone under, and pulling the core in, this freedom that I'm feeling, this opening that I'm feeling is like literally mirroring the opening I'm feeling in my trauma body. I'm not tucking my fucking tail anymore, right? I'm not pulling in and trying to stay small. I'm expanding, right? I'm opening up, and that is what bowstring feels like to me. It feels like buoyancy. It feels like opening. It feels expansive. And so I'll link my favorite bowspring down below as well. And then what else? One more body thing. So this will actually be a whole nother episode, okay? So I'll film this tomorrow. I think it's going to take a little more time than we've got here. But the thing I want to talk about is trauma body. For any sexual assault survivors, the next episode, it could be triggering, it could be useful. You use your radar and feel into what you're ready for. And I'm going to share a little bit of my story on the next episode. In the meantime, remember, your story, your healing, they matter. And no one, not any guru, not any podcaster, not any book, not any doctor, dentist in a white coat can tell you what is right for you. Okay? Every act of self-love, no matter how small, and self-love is sometimes just slowing down, not rushing in with a manic fear. Every act of self-love, no matter how small, carries echoes and ripples, a vibration, a frequency that changes everything and everyone it comes into contact with. It is radical in this world right now. Do not take for granted that you are a revolutionary when you pause and take the time to listen deeply and to honor that listening by following through with loving self-care. Thank you for being here with me today. And always, if you are loving what I am creating here, let me know. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, sign up to become a patron at my Patreon. All of these things are little ways that I know that I should keep going. If you want to pay it forward, if you want to help me out here, then every thumbs up, every comment, every share, it really freaking matters. It matters. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This podcast is here to share stories and spark curiosity, not to replace professional advice. Before diving into any psychedelics or practices we talk about here, check in with your own deep knowing, your healthcare provider, and know your local laws. Anchor in your own truth before reaching out for anything or anyone. That is the real power. And one more thing, I make this show just for you. If you're loving it, drop me a comment or review on Spotify, iTunes, or YouTube. Let me know I should keep showing up. Grateful to be here with you.